Welcome back for another episode of Sunday Soul Day, fueling your mind, body, and soul with soulful conversations and life-changing insights. In this special bonus episode, we welcome Elle Ingalls, the author of The Pressure-Free CEO and Pressure-Free Parenting. She's the creator of the Pressure-Free Method, a revolutionary performance method to help high-achieving individuals from CEOs to students break free from stress and unlock their full potential. With a unique blend of expertise as a performance coach, executive, college athlete, and professional musician, Elle developed this method to stop the fight or flight stress response before it starts, enabling sharper decision making, increased resilience, and greater success without burnout. Let's welcome her to the show. Welcome to Sunday Soul Day, Elle.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here, T.
Yes, I'm so happy you're here. I cannot wait for the audience to get to know you a little bit and also talk about these incredible books. But before we dive in too deep, I want to just start with your journey. Before books and the method, I'd love to just start kind of at the beginning. Like, what drew you into this work? Like, what were you, I guess, noticing in your own life and career that kind of made you realize that pressure was the real problem to solve?
Yeah, I think we have created a really pressure-filled society in general. But I also understand that some of us seem to love to put even more pressure on ourselves.
Yes.
And I'm certainly one of those. In fact, I didn't find out till I was an adult that I went to a preschool in which we were observed by psychologists. Okay. So it was just a neighborhood preschool at the park, but it had a two-way mirror, and each parent got an assessment from a professional about what they noticed about
Hmm.
just observing the child, right?
Yeah.
And in my assessment, my mom shared it with me, was just to be cautious that she's a perfectionist and she puts a lot of pressure on herself. This is just watching me as a 4-year-old,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Just like that natural, I want to get it so good.
Hmm.
So I was a classical violinist. By the age of 10, I knew I wanted to be a professional musician. I knew I was the second best person in my whole city on the violin. So I played in an adult group when I was like 12. So so a lot of cool things happened in my life in sports and in music. Um, but you know how, your guidance counselor says, "Oh, you should be an engineer. You're our top math and science girl," kind of thing. I'm like, no, I want to go to school in sports and music. It's so funny. But I ended up at University of Michigan. I did 3 degrees there. And so I come to my work as a high performer. I was the first woman in the orchestral conducting program at Michigan. So first woman to conduct the symphony there ever. And so that's a huge
Incredible.
spotlight.
Yeah.
People were like looking at my hair and my clothes and like every motion I made. It was really something. But I got to work with some of the greatest musicians in the world, Leonard Bernstein, Seiji Ozawa, like the greatest. So my education, and that kind of zest to perfect things. When you're a classical violinist, you cannot play a wrong note or you don't win the audition. I can't play one wrong note. It's just like a surgeon. You can't make one wrong cut, right? So, so I think that was kind of a motivator thing for me. In college, I actually did have a meltdown. Like I had a panic attack in a small venue, like not the big hall, but just a concert that shouldn't have mattered much at all. And I don't know what it was, but I just lost it. I totally lost it. And I thought I was having a heart attack on stage, but it was a panic attack, what we would call today a panic attack. But in the 80s, like we called it stage fright. So that night when I got home, I was like, oh my God, I can't stand in front of a 70-piece orchestra and have a meltdown. What happened to me? So I went to the medical library where I'd done some research for a course once. And I talked to the research librarians and I asked them for information on mind-body connection. Like I wanted to figure out what happened to me. And so out of that, I kind of created even more little tools to help me and to help others. So at that point, I'm teaching too, so I'm teaching others. And so then fast forward from the 80s to 2010, and my two eldest sons were playing on the same baseball team, and they asked me to coach their team in what they called mental toughness tips. And so I just kind of laughed to you. I'm like, who wants their mother in the dugout? That's like crazy, right? And my eldest is like, actually, I want you in the dugout. Well, I brought it to the coaches. The head coach hired me. He said, I want you to work with the team, but will you work with me personally? I would like to hire you as my personal coach. And then my department chair at the college where I taught for years, she hired me. She found out what I was doing and she's like, oh my God, I need this. So I had two paying clients and a fantastic baseball team to start to share these ideas and then go really deep. So I'm kind of a why girl. I ask my clients this. Some people are what, just give me the facts. Some people are why. I want the deeper why behind the facts.
Yeah.
I go into it. And so I really became one of the experts in the country on the stress response. I know you've read part of my book,
Yeah.
like I've gone very deeply on the stress response. And I don't know very many people. Like I've coached psychologists, physicians. My youngest went to Columbia in college, and so he gave me all his books. So I'm learning, what are they teaching at one of the top institutions in the world in psych. Um, but the connection of what the stress hormones and the stress response does to us is really what my expertise is about.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for taking us through that journey. And it's so fascinating to me, just how addicted to stress that we actually are, and we don't even know it.
Hmm.
Like even myself, like I always like to have a high pain tolerance,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
but I feel like I can just handle a lot of stress. And I don't necessarily think I'm addicted to it, but I know how to manage it really well. And
Hmm.
I've always put a lot of stress and pressure on myself. Like, especially when I was younger, I was a perfectionist, and a large part of that was it was my way of controlling my world,
Right. Oh,
and
I
when,
think yeah, that's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
And when I realized that, that I was doing that, then I was like, okay, how can I undo this a little bit, but still use the tools that allowed me to deal with stress and pressure. So it's so interesting, you had that moment when you were, kind of helping others. Like I was the same way. Like I'm like the calm in the storm. And so
Yeah,
like no
yeah.
matter what's going on, like everyone's always looking to me because I'm like I always stay like even, in it. So you talk a lot about the stress response, before it starts. Really like stopping the stress response before it starts.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Like what are the earliest, I would say signs for leaders, that they
Hmm.
might miss it in their nervous system, like maybe it's dysregulated. How
Yeah.
how can they identify some of those earlier stress responses?
Yeah, it really is a journey.
Hmm.
When it comes to leaders, the things that, they can look really calm on the outside, but let's lift up the hood and there's some heart issues
Oh, yeah.
going on or digestive issues. So the first thing I say is, what's going on? Let's just lift up the hood for a moment and say, is there something going on mentally? Is there something going on physically? So anything that's chronic going through time, the stress hormones have a role in why that's happening to you. So observing that first,
Okay.
and then it's like any mental or physical tensions. So someone late to your meeting. So you're sitting there, you're ready to go, and the person you need in the room is late. Is that causing you to be impatient? So any sort of impatience or tension, you can do a body scan, kind of notice,
Yeah.
is the tension in the jaw? Like, are you grinding your teeth at night? Is there stuff going on here? Do you have headaches, migraines? Does your throat kind of tighten a little bit? Do you feel your chest pounding, heart pounding in your chest? Is it hard to breathe? Does your gut hurt? Do you know that like lead feeling in your stomach or oh my God, like what's happening here? Or do you have issues? So any issues in the gut area? Um, I was talking with a friend who's a very professional speaker, and they said, "Well, I don't have any problems with stress. Like I've been doing this for years and all this." And I go, "I just have one question. Before you take the stage, do you need to go to the bathroom?" And he said, "Oh yeah." I go, "Okay.
So
So how long before you did it then did you do it? Like half an hour or, when you first got to the hall and now you have to go again?" So that's a stress response issue.
yes.
Something as simple as that. Um,
So interesting you mentioned the body. We forget that the body keeps the score, but it also, is such an indicator,
Yes,
and
it
I think
informs us.
yes, it informs us. I think we ignore that, like,
Yeah,
and I find that, like even within myself, I'm able to have that process because I think everyone feels it, right? Like I feel it, but I feel it quick and then I recognize it and I'm able to adjust. Like, and it's such a quick moment for me, where I find others who succumb to it, they're not able to adjust as fast.
right. Yeah. And if you have released those hormones,
Yes.
now you're going to go into a cycle. So even if you like
Mhm.
do 10 minutes of breathing or meditation or whatever,
Mhm.
if you've released the stress hormones, your cells are still in a mess of stress. So maybe you've cleared it up here a little bit,
Yeah.
but your body is going to have to go through this process that literally takes hours. And there's a second flood of hormones. So everybody's talking about cortisol today, but
Yes.
first let's go back to like the first flood of hormones, which are catecholamines. And the reason we're addicted to the pressure and to the release of these hormones, to actually living in the stress response like 24/7, is that it's dopamine, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. So dopamine isn't just a neurotransmitter in your brain, it's also created in the center of the adrenal glands. It mixes with adrenaline and noradrenaline, and that's the cocktail that goes out so that you can fight or flee,
Yeah.
but as all these other F's, including fidget, forgetfulness, like all these other things that happen. So that's why we're addicted. It's a dopamine hit. So adrenaline junkies, I like raise my hand. Hello, my name is Alan. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I thought it made me superpower. I thought it was like the thing that made me super mom,
Mhm.
right? It's because I could do so much in a day. I can do far more in a day without that addiction
Mhm.
than I did before. Because before I was making mistakes, but I didn't see them. I made mistakes in how I talked to people. I made just subtle, like a little bit of tension in the voice. And now that's like they're not really going to be so connected to me. I made mistakes before spell check. I'm from New Hampshire. I moved to Michigan, right? And here I am, like writing memos as an executive, right? I spell Michigan, Michigan. My hands are just typing too fast, right? It's so
Been
silly.
there. Yep. No,
But
exactly.
so that's that addiction piece.
Yeah.
Then we become addicted to the pressure because like that's another reason to release these hormones. It just becomes a subconscious loop of continually staying in that. And that's why people will have their day.
Mhm.
And we were kind of taught this, weren't we, Dee? Like have your
Mhm.
stressful day and then go home and take care of yourself,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, now you're not having fun with your family because you're exhausted. So what's the point of that, right? It's the old native logic. Like, why are you taking me out of my cabin here where I hunt and fish and gather wood and live just fine, and you want me to now work in a factory, bus me to a factory, because that's real work, so that I can have 2 weeks off a year to go hunt and fish, right? Like, what is that?
Seriously.
So, so yeah, that first flood of hormones really creates an addiction. And then when the second flood of hormones goes out, those are glucocorticoids. So we hear a lot about cortisol.
Yes.
Cortisol is manufactured in the outer skin of the adrenal glands, the cortex.
Mhm.
And those hormones, they mix with water, and their purpose is to fix the brain cells that we've pulled fat and glucose out of in the first flood and our extremities. So we wick fat and glucose, which is why people's hands get cold, feet get cold. People think they have a thyroid issue. Let's check first and see if it's a stress response issue. Because every time we trigger, we're working power out of our extremities in here. That's why we also get shaky. And now
Mhm.
we're fidgety. And now you got the pen clicker in the room. And that's annoying this person here. So now they trigger the stress
Mhm.
response because you got a pen clicker in the
Yep.
room. So
It's
it's just so
that's so
crazy.
interesting. Before you go further, I mean, just
Yeah.
even touching on that, because I know so many athletes, especially. Like, I mean, even myself when I used to compete, I used to
Mhm.
have this like fidgety leg thing, where I was always like, moving, like every part of me wanted to just move faster. you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so funny you mentioned the cold hands because I was just always, I'm like, oh, I'm probably anemic, because I had like
Oh
really
my
low body
gosh.
fat and all these things, but not ever attributing it to that. So it's just really interesting that you mentioned that
Oh,
because I
I had
actually
thoughts
see
like that too. I
yeah,
had thoughts like that too. Oh, that's why my hands are cold. I'm
yeah,
so skinny. I don't have enough
yeah, no
fat.
fat, yeah. Not my case today, but
Here's, oh my
I
God, I
I
know.
have curves from my kids, but I'm like, but when I was training, I mean, I was like, my body fat I think was like 11%,
Oh yeah, I was so
super low,
skinny. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and so that's so interesting. I never thought about that. Now, after
Mhm.
that hormone, like, is there something else that's released after?
So the second flood, those glucocorticoids go out. And the reason people talk about it is let's talk the first flood, let's talk about fat for a moment, because
Hmm.
people like, why are we building so much fat in the center of our body? And then there's that fatty hump at the top of
Yes.
that fat, they call it the
Mhm.
dowager's hump, that hump up there. So when we release the first flood of hormones, we're wicking all this fat and glucose here, but we're not running and fighting. We're not flailing, right? We're just sitting in front of our computers or driving our cars or whatever we're doing. So the fat lodges in our torsos, in our arteries, and at this fatty hump back here.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Now, my theory about this is our brain needs a ton of fat to operate. So remember, if we're in fight or flight, the thought is we might get stuck in a cave. The tiger's outside and we can't get out. So we can't get to food. We have fat here so that all these organs can still work, and we have fat here so our brain can work. So it has a great purpose if we were really under attack, right? But we're not. When the glucocorticoids go out, I'll call it cortisol. So when cortisol goes out to fix these cells out here, it also expands the fat cells because it still thinks we can't get to food. So it expands the fat cells. So the fat cells we brought in the torso expand and get plumper so that we have even more. But cortisol is a great hormone, and people, you don't really want to suppress it, especially if you've released the first flood of hormones. Our body is so perfectly designed. Like,
Mhm.
we need to do all this and fix all this. So, if you really want to reduce inflammation in your body, reduce toxicity, the key is the first flood of hormones, not the second,
Mm.
but the first. Some people are not even aware, they think cortisol is the first hormones that go out. But it was some research at Colorado State, I believe, is what I found in 2010. It's like very distinctly what's going on in the body. It's really, really cool, actually, um, how it all works if we're under attack.
Yeah.
But we're not under attack. But we're treating so many things as if we are.
Yes. I was just gonna
And
say that.
yeah, we are. And I think some of it is certainly perfectionism. Look, you and I were born way before this came along. Perfectionism is not a new thing.
No.
Comparison is not a new thing. This has magnified it a lot. And then the pandemic definitely created a lot of loneliness and a lot of things. So I really think we have more people in anxiety and stress than ever before. But you could go back to any of the world wars. My parents grew up in the Depression. That was an unbelievably hard time. You couldn't get food sometimes. Like there were people starving. And so I think, there are waves in society of what's going on. But when we can look at, going back to your initial question about like what can leaders look for? Body scan is fast. And then you look at things that make you feel certain emotions. So I have what I call the A's. So anytime you feel angry or annoyed, anxious or afraid, anytime you're ashamed, and anytime you feel the need to argue. So those emotions will put you right on the edge of the cliff to easily go into fight or flight. And if you can start to notice things, and it could be as something innocuous as, you're just running a tiny bit late, but that will do it. And here's some clues. Let's say you're late to a networking event and you get there and you just meet Jack. And 5 seconds later, you're like, oh my God, what's his name? Like you can't remember
Happens
Jack.
all the
It's one
time.
syllable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but it happens all the time.
Yeah. So I think that we are quite unaware of just how much the cortex and our hippocampus, the whole outer brain, slows and shuts down in fight or flight for hours. Because it might have been an hour ago that you triggered, and now you're here at the event and you can't remember the name. So it's fascinating what starts to happen to the brain when you get off of these hormones. Just like any other drug, it's like you
Yeah.
go off it. And I mean, I've had people just tell me miracle things that have happened. Miracle things happen to me. It's like, oh my gosh, is this for real? I feel like I gave myself a whole new life when I was 47. Like that's when I created this. I get to live a whole different life. It's fun. It's
Unbelievable.
fun.
Yes. Well, one of your chapters focus on time pressure, like subtly shutting down cognitive function. Like you just kind of mentioned that, like leading to regret and self-sabotage. Like, how does this show up in executives or high performers who believe, they work best under pressure? I mean, I'm literally one of those people, I'm like, oh, like there's pressure. This is where I shine.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those of us who are, or, you might say type A, high achievers,
Mhm.
this is who we are. Um, I love to say this, you don't become type B in pressure free. Like you actually become type P
Okay.
because if you stop releasing those hormones, so you'll still like go for the challenges and pressures because it's just how we're wired to take on challenges, to want to solve problems. Like that's really how we're wired. Um, if we do it, but we don't trigger the stress response, we stay present. We remember far more, so we become much more productive and empowered from the inside out. So powerful. I have a client who, if you met this person, very calm, quiet, rather reserved, she has so much inner power now that she can actually change a room just by walking into it.
Mhm.
And it's because she's like the only person in the room who's present, who's really present. So that's a game changer for leaders. One of my clients, after just one session, when I got together with him for the second session, he works with a lot of cultures. He's an Asia Pacific office. And he said, my people know that I'm really listening now. That's a game changer,
Amazing.
right? Because in fight or flight, our eyesight changes and our hearing changes. You
Mhm.
know how you tell somebody, oh, make sure to take out the garbage, and then they don't, and you're like, but I told you to take out the garbage, and they're like, oh God, I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
They actually didn't lodge it. They
Mm.
didn't hear you. They're not being disrespectful. I think we pick a lot of fights and have a lot of miscommunication because
Yes.
of the stress response.
Yes.
Because you think somebody's got it and they don't have it. It's like when their eyes are kind of glassy and it's just going right over their head. I used to coach middle school track, so
I was just about to say, like kids especially, like like I notice this sometimes with my son, it's like
Mhm.
I always joke and say he hears every other word, it's like
Yeah,
like
people say that,
and
yeah.
yeah, but I think what it is they're present in whatever they're doing, but they're
Hmm.
not necessarily, in tune with what your goals are, or what you need in that moment. And so
Yeah.
I now like what I've done for him, especially, like it's interesting because my daughter hears my voice no matter what, like I mean, she could be in the middle of something and she's always attuned to it. And he
Oh,
is laser focused on whatever he's doing. And so what I do is I'll stand in front of him,
oh
and
yeah.
call him by his name,
Hmm.
first to
To
get
pull
his
it in.
attention. Yeah, to pull it in. And so,
Hmm.
but I notice with him, and he's very fidgety. He's always like tapping his, foot, and it's how he's trying to regulate himself.
Yeah, he's trying to
Yeah.
dissipate all that
Yeah.
adrenaline.
Yeah, no,
So yeah.
exactly. So I love this conversation because I'm like learning as
Oh
you're
yeah.
talking and also as I'm reading. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Most children trigger first thing in the morning.
yeah, oh my
They're triggered
gosh.
all day.
They
Hmm.
are. They
Yeah.
are, which I try and start their day calm because of that. Like I was reading
Yeah.
another book, I can't think of the title, but I'll send it to you when I find it. But it was saying just that exact thing,
Hmm.
with children. And so I'm like, I want them to wake up slow,
Beautiful. Yeah.
calm. Like let's start the morning not in this rush. And you see it, I mean, every day at school, these parents, get out, get out, get out, hurry, hurry.
Oh,
They're
it's
just like
so bad.
rushing these kids, and it's so much
Yeah.
pressure on them. And I
So
think
much
we
pressure.
forget on their little bodies, like
Yeah.
that they're, so when you go back to your original, when you're talking about your 4-year-old self, like I saw myself when you were talking, as well, because I was the same way, like very like, you know, I could absorb a lot, but I was just holding it in, and I had no way of like releasing it. And so,
Hmm.
like, what does that do for adults, like in their
Yeah.
body where they're constantly under this pressure
Hmm.
cooker, Like, what
Yeah.
does that do for adults, like long term? Like, does it send them into that survival mode just all the time?
Um, we get subconscious patterns going.
Okay.
So here's an example. It's kind of a funny one, but I used to live in a 1929 house, beautiful
Pretty.
glass,
Yeah,
like
so pretty.
beautiful door, right?
Mhm.
And but it would stick on humid days. I live in Michigan, okay? So I was triggering the stress response before I even got to the door because I would have to put my violin and groceries down and turn the handle. Now I can get it open. But then we pile on. So like the subconscious pattern is like, and I'm using this door because I don't go in the back because the the garage is full of props for videos. Like because my kids were making making films. Like it's like so like we pile on like all the things we're annoyed about. So now we created such a powerful subconscious loop. And so we're quite unaware of it. So when I figured out that the sticking of the door was a trigger for me, at first I figured out, okay, so when I'm at the door, and then I figured out, oh, I'm doing this before I even get to my door, like driving up the hill or walking back from the college. Like I was already in it. And so then I'm like, oh, so I got to back up to that point. So sometimes it's, oh, this thing annoys me. Oh, that's because this thing happened here. And
Yes.
now we trace back, oh, it's because this morning I woke up a little too late. So what I do, hurry up, kids, we're going to be late.
Hmm.
Like, okay, now the whole house is that way.
Exactly.
So
I
we
love that.
we
You're really talking about like having a lot of self-awareness
yes,
and
yes.
peeling, I call it the pomegranate effect. It's like you're peeling things back to get to the sweet spot.
Yeah.
For you, you figured out the door was a trigger for you,
Oh,
like, and I love that you use that simple example for the
oh,
audience because, I can imagine even myself, like I don't like to feel rushed. I don't want to have this like pressure cooking, while I'm driving and oh my God, you're going to be late. Like I just don't. So I leave early. Like,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
just, because I like to chill, I like to keep my energy, at a certain
yeah.
way. And so, like, but I realized that early on, when I used to rush before I even had kids, like that was my trigger, and then I'd hit traffic and then it was like this whole
Uh,
thing,
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so now I try to just avoid that, I mean,
yeah,
as much as we can. I mean, we can't avoid everything, but like as much as
yeah.
I can. But
Well,
I love that. You think about this for meetings. It's like, let's say you're going into a meeting that is just a hard meeting, like, every Monday you have an executive meeting and it's gonna get tense. It's like
oh,
you're already going through the motion before you even open the door.
and you probably walk in with
That
RBF.
energy. Yeah.
Okay, so you bring up I want to share, can I share a tool? Because
Yeah,
this is
please.
a tool for this exact moment. Notice how we already expect the meeting is going to be tense,
Hmm.
right? We don't even know yet. So I
Yeah.
call that negative fake worry. We're great fiction writers, right? So we're triggering before we even get to the meeting because we think it's going to be tense. So what I have my clients do is take a look at everything on their agenda for the day and put a word next to it for how they want to show up the whole time block. So here's this meeting, executive meeting. I write the word fabulous. Okay. So my energy through that whole 90 minutes is going to be fabulous or exquisite. That's one of my words. Like whatever word works for you the whole time. So when it starts to dip and change, it's like, no, I said fabulous. So now if I walk into the room and I think this meeting's going to be fabulous, I'm not like this. I'm like curious.
Mhm.
Curious could be the word. Like, whatever word puts you in a state that's more optimal. Because we're so conditioned from the time we're little to emotionally react to everything around us and not choose it for ourselves. So by putting that word next to everything on the agenda, we're actually choosing for ourselves how we want to feel. That is so empowering. And for some of my exec clients, they'd never even thought of that. Like they're always thinking about all these other scenarios and
Yes.
they're never bringing like, okay, so how do I want to show up? And I do a whole body thing with people too, that is such a game changer for how they can now connect. So using the body, using the mind, my tools come in three types, body, mind, and life design. And I never know which of my tools are going to be like in my books, I share about 14 of these tools, but I have over 50 because everyone is so unique.
They
So
are.
they keep building. Almost every client I have, I create some new little thing that is what they need to interrupt that stress response. So
That's such a simple, I love that you shared that because it's such a simple thing that someone can do
so
right now,
easy. It's so easy.
without doing anything else. Like if they could
Yeah.
just start there, For me,
Yeah.
I use colors.
Oh, colors
And
are
and
beautiful.
so like and it's just my little simple, way and I try to color it like, with colors of how I feel. So like one of my favorite colors is green. I have it on today.
I love
And
it.
and
I
so
know you're so
like
colorful and I'm so bland.
no, it's perfect. But I try to color my meetings, like because it puts me in a that mood. So then when I start the meeting, like that's how my energy is.
I
So I
love
love
it.
that you use words though, because words are so powerful.
They
And I feel
are.
like so many people can kind of connect to that. So it's such a
Mhm.
great connector. Oh my goodness. Love that. Talk to us about some of your other tools because I know
Yeah.
like I said, I've seen some, but talk
Yeah.
to the audience just, some other simple things that they can incorporate if maybe the word,
Mhm.
trick is not, doesn't resonate with them.
Yeah, let's do a little body thing. So, one of the I started using this tool from day one with those baseball players, right? And so, a tool I'd used for decades, was simply to relax the belly. Then when I got to understand the neuroscience behind it, it really flipped my switch. Like I was like, oh, this is so good. So our abdomen actually produces more serotonin than our brain does, by the way. I know, isn't that crazy?
Oh
So
my
our abdomen has so much neural activity going on. And that's, when they say, okay, trust your gut,
God.
I actually don't believe that because your gut will be instantly reactive in fight or flight. When we start to feel fear, well, you could trust it, but I'm going to say we probably overreact with it.
Okay.
So your belly's going to tense to protect your organs down there. We don't have ribs. So if you put a hand on your belly and simply relax your abs,
Mhm.
the whole front of your body can now get more relaxed. So now, like your pec muscles can be
Oh
more
my
relaxed.
gosh.
You feel
I
it?
did not know. I'm like, you are giving me chills right now because I do that naturally when I'm in a situation that where I'm a little like tense.
Oh,
And I swear you're opening me up because I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. But it's like
okay.
natural for me. And so, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I was at the dentist and I hate going to the dentist. But what I do is I hold my hands on my belly and it naturally like relaxes me. And I never knew it was like doing that. I
Oh
didn't
my
know
gosh.
that is incredible.
It is.
I need to do an article on this. This is so great.
Oh, yeah, it's so
I
good.
love this.
So I'll take you deeper.
Yeah,
With
please.
your hand on your belly. Now roll it down to where the belly tucks back in.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Now relax that spot.
Okay, I'm doing that.
Some people have trouble. We will hold so much tension there. That's like our most precious organs
Oh.
for both men and women, right? Like we will tense that spot so much for protection.
Why is that though? Like what
Um,
that is?
I think it's so like it goes back to initial fight or flight.
Okay.
Like it's to protect. In fact, the reason you'll
Does
have
it
to go to
send a
the
signal?
it's going both ways.
Okay,
Okay.
that's where
Right.
I'm
It's
like,
going
okay,
both
got it.
ways. So there, but if you feel like you're under some sort of pressure or attack, you'll tighten there and it'll tighten the whole front of your body, including your throat on purpose, because this is the death blow, right? So these muscles will tense. So you'll hear sometimes for women, their voices get really high, like, oh my God, Dee, hi, I'm so excited to see you. Oh, like that's an over adrenalized woman, like ramping it up, right? That's because there's all this tension in the throat and the whole front of the body is tense. So when you get it fully, when you get it relaxed, it instantly sends a signal, no reason to go into fight or flight here. So you can interrupt that stress response instantly just by relaxing your abs.
Oh,
And those way lower abs, we're that I call that spot your safety, your power, your love, your money. Okay, because we're trying to keep ourselves safe.
mhm, mhm.
And in a tribal sense, because we've all come from tribes, we're trying to protect the tribe. Because if we're tense there, we're not going to get hurt. And that's why we'll also void. So some people have like instant diarrhea and instantly, like at a tennis player, go into fight or flight, instant diarrhea. But we void because that can keep the predator off of us. Isn't that crazy? But it's true, which
Unbelievable.
is why people have to pee a lot. Like if you have to pee a lot, and it's not because you're drinking gallons of water every day, it's probably because you have a stress response issue. So getting that really soft. And then I just learned a couple of years ago from my body coach, like she was doing us like kind of relaxing everything, right? She goes, okay, relax your breasts. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Right? I cannot do that. And then I realized I was holding my pecs so tight
Wow.
so that nothing jiggled ever. Okay. So now I don't. I know it's funny, but that's a game changer for my heart and my lungs and like everything, getting this more relaxed. So we tend to hold our front of our body tight. And when you can get that open and relaxed, you create instant
Wow.
connection, full frontal body connection with another human. No like trust factor goes way up. So if you're leading a meeting and you need buy-in and your body's tense, you're literally pushing people away from
Mm.
you. But when you get soft and relaxed in the front, starting with the abs, then people like lean in.
That
They
is
come toward
unbelievable.
you.
It's so interesting that you say start with the abs because like I said, I do that naturally, but I didn't know that that's what I was doing, you know? And
Yeah.
I realized there's a lot of leaders, like especially before like an all hands meeting, I used to work in
Mhm.
tech and
Yeah.
they would have these all hands meetings and a lot of the executives who had to speak would be so tense. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they're like not repelling is a little strong, but it's like
Mhm.
they're like you said, pushing people away and not inviting them in, and they didn't even
Right.
realize it, and
Right.
they're
They don't
holding the
realize it.
tension in their neck, in their shoulders,
Yes.
in their posture, like I mean,
And right here.
yeah, or in their forehead, yeah, and it's so interesting. Like when I hear the term executive presence, I almost chuckle because I'm like, what does that even mean? Like because you know what I mean? Like
Not seeing it here.
no, and but so many people talk about like having executive presence, and I just remove the executive. It's like I just think you should have a welcoming presence.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that is one of the things that missing. My dad was a bank president, and people in town who worked for my dad would actually come up to me and say, I just love working for your dad. And I'm like, what is it about dad? And one day I was in his office, and here he is, the president of the bank. Teller line's having an issue. Way on the over here, right? My father actually got over there and was right there with it. I mean, it was just so cool to see. And then some other things had happened, and one of his secretaries was a friend of mine, and she goes, "You have no idea how your dad like that welcoming
Yep.
presence that you can tell him any issue, and he's not going to blow it out of proportion." And you know, we're again, I think it's that like hyper, and that doesn't mean like my dad had a ton of pressure. Believe me, he
Of
died way
course.
too young.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died of his second heart attack, but
Oh my God.
it's like way too young. My mother died too young too. They were under so much pressure and they didn't know it. So that's the thing, it's like again, high achievers,
Hmm.
but what's it actually doing to you? Let's lift up the hood and
Hmm.
see. Okay, so my
I
dad had
love that term. That is like such a writer downer. Let's lift up
I
the
think
hood
maybe
and
I should
see.
that
Yeah.
should be my next book, maybe.
It should. I know. It's so good. It's like because it's so visual,
Hmm.
and so many people are pushing things down. You hear the term brushing under a rug or pushing it
Yeah.
down and
And
not dealing
hiding
with
under
it. And
masks.
I call it the treasure box. It's like where they bury in the treasure box, they lock the treasure box, and then they bury the key.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They can't even tap into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And and it's a killer. I mean, that's what I
it
talk about in my
is.
book. I'm of as I mean, I hope people feel like I hope you feel like I'm a pretty positive person. Like I wake up every morning happy. So it's kind of weird, but I have since I was a baby. Just like that's who I am. But when I wrote my second book, I'm like, I need to dig into what's really happening to people here and and just be unabashedly bold
Yes.
because we're losing leaders, and I can't imagine what our planet would be if they were still living.
Oh, when you
Great
listed
leaders,
those leaders in your book, like so many leaders and their ages, I was like about ready to weep.
isn't it? And the
Oh,
sad ones, the ones that
I
are,
mean,
they're all
I was
sad.
on track to get there.
Oh my
So it
gosh,
really
yeah.
resonated with me because again, like I said, I thought it was, a superpower to be
Yes.
able to operate under great pressure. And then I would place additional pressure on myself, and I
Yeah.
actually led with that in, job interviews. I'm like, you're gonna set a goal for me. I was like, my goal is gonna be bigger. I'm gonna put more pressure on myself than you can ever put on me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was kind of like how I operated.
Me
But
too.
eventually it catches up to you, and you can't exist like that anymore. You have to find a new way to operate. And that's,
That's right.
a lot of leaders, the ones you listed, didn't.
They didn't. And
Yeah.
they had access to any kind of healthcare in the world. They could go get frog poison in the Andes or whatever they wanted to do,
Whatever.
right?
Yeah.
But
They
they
just
didn't
didn't.
survive.
Why do
And
you think leaders don't do it?
um, that's a really good question. Um, I think some of them think they are doing it because take a look at Ranjan Das in India. So he actually was featured on a little news program as an incredible example of doing everything right. Okay. He's a marathoner. He's writing a movie in addition to being an executive of SAP. Like, it's incredible. And then he dies of a heart attack doing a workout. He's 42, I believe. So,
Hmm.
so he thought a lot of people think they're doing everything right. They work out, they eat perfect diets, they have a dietitian giving them the perfect food, right? This is the missing piece. They think they're handling their stress. We don't handle stress. You either release the stress
Ooh,
response
that's
or
good.
don't. We don't handle it. It's are you releasing the stress response or not? So that's kind of my differentiator. You don't need to take time off or slow down to de-stress. That's a myth. It's a total myth. You can keep at your same pace. Actually, you'll be able to do more because you're not depleting all of your body processes, which we do every time we trigger. Our digestion is off, our thyroid is off, like every body process is off. So if we keep that all working well, you get to do more. Like I have people say, you gave me hours of productive time in the day,
Wow.
3.5, 4 hours of productive time. Look, I'm a
Yes.
marathoner, or look, I work
Yeah.
out 3 times a week and I eat this perfect diet.
Yep.
You could do all of that. I was doing that, and I still had eczema covering my hands and dense fibrous breast tissues. That all changed in 8 weeks when I used my method.
So,
It's
see, and
crazy.
it's so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that. That's another writer downer. We don't handle stress. We either release the stress hormone or not.
Try.
And
Mm.
that is, or the stress
Come
response.
on.
That
I
is
gotta write it
so,
down.
no, it's a writer downer. That's so good.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a beautiful reminder to all of us. Again, we're taught to handle stress. Like, oh, they handle stress well. It's like almost people get pat on the back for handling stress well.
Right.
And we're always, even if we say we're not, we're looking for some form of validation, even if it's even from just ourselves.
That's right.
Like so
Yes.
so that
Steve
level
Jobs
of
was told,
validation. Yeah, exactly.
Steve Jobs was told, your cancer's gone. You're going to be fine. He
Yeah.
talks about that in his Stanford commencement address. If you watch it, he
Yep,
says
sure
that.
did.
And
Yep,
he's
sure
died
did.
just a few years later because
Unbelievable.
his pancreatic cancer wasn't what most pancreatic cancer is, was of the very cells that create hormones, and stress hormones go crazy in those cells.
Un
So, yeah, that's what did it. I mean, I can't say for sure, but
no, but just
it's,
wow. Wow, wow, wow.
so cancer, heart disease,
Hmm.
suicide, and some of those young entrepreneurs that were headed for some pretty cool things they were doing. I mean, Zimborski was considered one of the brightest stars in New York. Both Columbia professors and NYU professors were saying this kid is truly brilliant. And then he takes his life. So to me, it's very sad that we're losing these minds. We're losing
Yes.
these people with incredible skills. And I mentioned in the book too, we haven't just, I mean, we've certainly lost them in their capacity in their corporations, but their families lost them. And
Yeah.
all these nonprofit boards and all these community things that these people were a part of,
And
that's
even
all
people
gone.
not in the public that were just, I mean, just
Yeah.
regular folks, like we lose so many at such a young
Yes.
age. And
Oh,
it makes me, I was just talking to a teacher about this. It makes me sad when I see a lot of parents putting so much pressure on their kids because they're already developing that,
yeah. Yeah.
and they're, I always say like what we practice becomes like who we are
Yeah.
until we unpractice and unlearn it.
That's
So
right. That's actually why I wrote my parenting book. And because our house completely changed when I used the method on myself. My
I
youngest
bet.
was 10. Everything changed, you know, everything changed. And
Talk to me about that just for the
yeah,
audience. Like,
sure.
what is it that you did and then what was the result of that you noticed right away?
I'll do it through a story. Okay,
Okay.
so
Love
when
that.
I first started using the method on myself, I had a symphony rehearsal and I was so excited to like, can I do this whole rehearsal and never trigger? Because I've made a boo-boo or something, like, can I go through the whole 2.5 hours? So I was really excited to try it, right? Had the greatest rehearsal. After rehearsal, I'm headed home. I'm like, well, I have a couple emails and I was sharing a computer in the dining room with my kid. Like, I got a couple emails I need to write to clients but everyone will be asleep. It'll be dark. I'll just get this work done and I'll be fine. When I pull up onto my street, every light is blazing in my house. Okay. So I pull into the driveway. It's 10:30 at night on a school night. I walk in. Stanley Cup is blaring on the big TV. Both my kids, my high school kids, have their laptops open. They're working on something, right? My youngest is 10. He is on the computer in the dining room where I am wanting to work. And when I left, because we held off dinner, they had baseball practice, like hold off dinner. So they were going to do the cleanup, my husband and the kids, right? I walk in the kitchen, all the dishes are still there. So instead of just calmly, whatever, I throw on my apron. Then I turn to my husband and go, I can't believe William hasn't even had a shower yet. Like, I just go berserk, right? So now one of the big kids comes running and goes, you just made William cry. So, like, the whole place is like pandemonium. Takes forever for everybody to get to sleep, right? And by the way, my husband said, "Hey, we've got this, hun." And I'm like, "Obviously not." It's terrible, right? So I was just completely triggered. But notice, like, I remember these are things coming out of my mouth. I would have never said that if I wasn't triggered, right? But that I'm being sarcastic, I'm being not nice, right? So fast forward a few months, same scenario. I hold off dinner, they're going to clean up. I go to symphony rehearsal. I come home and things aren't cleaned up yet. I just take my shower, go upstairs, read my book, and fall asleep. I have no idea when they all went to sleep. Okay. I did not worry about it. In the morning, everything was spotless. Everybody was happy. So I didn't overreact. Our overreactions will create overreactions in everyone.
Yes. Yes.
And
Because it's energy.
that's
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
And that's what changed in our house was I stopped overreacting. Now everybody stops overreacting. So if somebody's missing something, nobody goes crazy. It's like, oh, we'll find it. It's all relaxed. It's okay. It doesn't matter if we're a few minutes late, like whatever. Just a totally different tenor in what's happening, emotional tenor in the house. So it's very interesting. That's a pressure-free person. That's someone who, when the pressure comes, he doesn't overreact, are more productive.
It's so interesting. Like I didn't know that I was adapting to this, like what you're describing, but without even having, training or or using a particular method.
Yeah.
I just using Demisha method, and
Yes.
but what I noticed is it actually opened me up more
Right.
in ways that, I was so closed because I was so like, focused on doing my thing perfectly. Like that tends to
Question.
close you.
Yeah, question. Was there, this is what happened to me too when I went through this transformation. I also realized just how judgmental I'd be. I could
Yeah,
be
I
really
don't,
judgmental about
what's
things.
interesting? I wasn't necessarily judgmental. I was judgmental of myself.
Mhm,
Like I
mhm.
criticized myself very harshly. Like my self-talk
Yeah,
was horrible,
me too. Yeah.
Like I was very, very, very critical of myself and a lot more forgiving of others. But what I had to learn in my, kind of growth was how to be a lot more accepting of myself. So I got to radical acceptance and loving myself in a
Nice.
way, and also feeling like I was worthy,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
making a mistake. Like it's okay to make a mistake. Like it's not the end of the world, And so
Right.
sometimes like I will send stuff out that isn't perfect. Like I also want people to know I'm human,
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
it's okay to make a mistake. It's not the end of the world if I, miss a comma or period in my long form, work that I'm sending out. Like people are still going to get the message. And I think that's the
Right.
most important, Of course we want it to, be our best, but
Yeah.
sometimes your best is 80%, sometimes it's 50%, If that's
Mhm.
your 100 that day, then that's your best,
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
that I've had to adapt to too, but I still find myself putting pressure on my productivity,
Mhm.
like so I'm a very productive person like during the day. Like I don't take personal calls, I'm have my hours that I'm very hyper focused, and
Mhm.
I'll notice like let's say I'm just going to make this up, top 3 things of the day I need to get done, but I only get two, then I'm kind of
Mhm.
like, you know
Oh
why
my
did I
gosh.
get that third thing done? Then I'm like peeling the day back. Like, where did I lose time or where did I not estimate?
Oh
So I still
yeah.
do that. So that's something I'm, constantly working on.
I have a little slogan. One of my tools is slogan. So it's just
Okay.
like quick phrase or something you put in your head
Okay.
that interrupts before you, so you don't trigger your stress hormones over the shame that you didn't get the thing done, right?
Okay.
So
What does slogan stand for?
slogan is just it is a short word or phrase. So just like Nike's just do it,
Yeah.
like a slogan. So this particular one, you get to the end of the day and you haven't done it. I just say tomorrow is a new day.
Yes.
It's
Say
like, because
that.
now I'm going to be with my family or my husband.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing this with my
Yeah.
friend right now or
I do say
walking my
that, but
dog.
I still want to examine my day,
Oh,
and
yeah.
see where I not necessarily dropped the ball, but where I could have, maybe like been a little bit more efficient. Like
So
did I
I would,
spend
it
too
would,
much time on this? So I will do that because I do at the end of the day, I always examine my day.
mhm,
And then from there, I do release it. And I think that's what's
mhm,
helped me. Like that's been the game changer for me because not only do I always write what I'm grateful for, I also do
mhm.
this thing about releasing and then I do a
Yeah.
surrender to God for like
Beautiful.
the bigger things. And that has helped me tremendously.
When you do your examination,
Mhm.
I would watch your belly because there's tension in your
Ooh, okay, I'm
belly.
gonna do that. That's so good.
Yeah, that could be
And there
really
probably is
helpful.
tension. Yeah, that's actually really
I
good.
could
I
kind
love
of
that.
feel it just as you were
Yeah,
talking,
no,
right?
that's really good. I didn't, like I said, I did not know that I was doing it naturally, but then
Yeah.
not doing it when I actually need it. So that's
Need it.
really good.
Yeah, you can be
Yeah, I love
intentional.
that.
Yeah. That's a
It's like
that's a
even
good
during a
one.
meeting or something. Like I probably could have used this when I was like when I'm interviewing, like and I can
Oh, for
imagine I'm going to
sure.
incorporate this like in my career coaching because, people
Yeah.
get so nervous,
Oh my gosh, so nervous. Here, I'll
so
give you another
nervous.
tool for that one
Okay.
because so I learned this from my body coach, Leela Veronica. Our nervous system has a directionality to it. So
Mhm.
think of a dog, like if you pat the dog, if you don't know this dog, you go with the fur,
Yes.
right? You have to really know the dog before you can go all directions. So you go with the fur. So we're the same way, and our fur runs down the tops and up underneath. So down the tops of our legs, down the tops of our arms, over our hands. And it even has a swirl to it. Like if you look at the hairs on your arm, it has a little swirl to it. So I give this to people in interviews, people going to testing. But if you just take your hands and start at your top of your thighs and run down toward your knees slowly, like maybe up to 10 times, but several times, just you're calming your nervous system and you're literally petting yourself and
Mm-hmm.
you're telling yourself that you're okay. You can do it, you're under the desk, like nobody sees you're doing it. You're on a
Yeah.
Zoom, nobody can see you're doing it,
Yeah.
but it's just this very calming thing. And then notice, remember when we were kids and played hide and seek, we go eek, like our hands
Mhm.
like this when we got found. So tension in the back of the hands, tension in the feet, that is charging up the nervous system. So if you can relax the tops of your hands, relax the tops of your feet, that's a game changer.
Yes.
That's really
Yes.
helpful.
You know what's interesting? You mentioned the feet because I do reflexology
Uh-huh.
and I like live and swear by it. It's so great. But one of the things when I'm working with clients, I remind them to do is to stretch their feet at night because we
Cool.
hold so much tension in our
Yeah.
toes and in our feet that we forget that they're really like all of every part of our body is connected through our feet,
To our feet.
you know?
Yeah.
And so like if you just create space in there, it's
Yeah.
such a game changer, you know, along with massaging and doing all those wonderful things. But if you don't have time to do all
Mm.
that, or if you don't have a massager on hand, you know, like
Well,
just start with stretching, you know,
and if you
and then I
look at
roll my feet, you know,
mm,
on a ball.
what
And that,
about
yeah,
wow, it's so cool. Yeah, the feet are amazing how
they
if you
are.
look at most shoes, they tip the toes up.
Yes, I
So
know.
where's the energy going?
Yeah,
Behind us.
yeah,
So
sure is.
I try to only wear shoes and boots where my toes can go forward.
That's another writer downer for the audience. Like I mean, incredible tip. And
It
that's why
is.
some running shoes, you know, as a former runner you ran too,
Yeah.
like there's some running shoes that are horrible
I will
because it
never
does
wear them.
that
I wear
exact thing.
freeze. The only ones I can wear now are freeze because they don't tip the toes up.
Yeah.
They keep the toes going forward.
Yes.
And I front foot walk now. I totally changed the way I
Oh
walk.
my gosh.
I know
Oh,
it's really cool stuff. I mean,
it
if you
is.
do that, you probably will never need a knee or hip replacement because that's how humans all walked before about 1450. But if you look at like the old Grecian urns, like or any cave drawings, you'll see they're always putting their front foot part of the foot
Mhm.
down first and then the heel because they had to test to see if things were pricky or dangerous or slippery. So you won't slip on ice if you go front foot first.
Mhm.
You won't because you're going down
Yes.
and your foot is relaxed, your whole top of your foot is relaxed when you walk. It's a totally different experience.
Yes. That's like even when you do yoga, like they tell you to concentrate on your feet and your base, you know? Like so
Mhm.
that's where I learned so much about like my feet and then got into reflexology and all these things. But
So cool. Oh my
yeah, it
gosh.
is. I know. Well, tell me this because
Yes.
a lot of our audience have children
Right.
and you know, you talk about this, you know, in your book about just parenting in general and
Hmm.
how it, you know, triggers not just you, but also the people you
Sure.
love. When parents are like really triggered and their response rates are really high, like what is it doing to their children? You know, like I mean, I was one of those children. I was in a household that was always like operating at a high octave, you know. And so
Yeah.
you know, and
So,
a lot of energy, you know, floating through
yeah.
the house. Like, what does that do to children?
Um, some children are going to imitate it. Some of the things they're going to imitate. So if somebody got very upset over something spilling in the kitchen, then you probably get upset when someone spills in the kitchen. Or you do the very opposite because
Opposite. Yeah.
you saw it and said, I'll never do that with my kids, right? So there's things that, but there's some patterns that we don't even see, right? And do you ever kind of stop and go, oh God, that's what my mother used to say? Like, it's usually not the good stuff. It's just like, oh yeah, mom used to say this and it kind of irked me or whatever. So you'll hear it coming out of your mouth just because we were so patterned. So we learn through imitation. We're triggering the stress response when we're in utero. When we hear loud noises, when our if our moms like drank or smoked or like whatever, anytime when we're inside that we feel the stress response, we just freeze. So normally the baby's making a 6 second cycle with its spine. I learned this from Dr. Gay Hendricks, like this, and that's developing the lungs. It's bringing fluid in and expressing fluid, and it's like this beautiful thing, right? But then the baby freezes and
Yes.
doesn't start it again until it senses that the threat is gone. So if you got a lot of yelling going outside,
Yeah,
by
so I
the
was just
way,
gonna ask that if there's a lot of like yelling, like I said, high octaves in the
yeah,
household, like
yeah,
what does that
yeah,
do to children?
yeah. So we are already conditioned to go into fight or flight before we're born, right? And then imitation. So, oh, do I have her book here? I've got to connect you to this person, Rhoda Banks. She wrote an unbelievable book called Daughter of an Assassin. So
Oh,
her
okay.
father
I'm gonna read
was
this.
her father was the assassin of the drug culture in St. Louis in the 70s. Like it's an incredible book. But talk about overcoming the stress response. It's incredible. I sent my two books to her and her husband because it was just so cool. But we're reacting.
Mm-hmm.
We're just reacting and we're imitating. But again, little children are very wise. Sometimes look and say, I'm not going to react to that. Like they'll just kind of back off.
That was
Yeah.
me. Like I would
Mm.
I would hold in my stress, like, and I wouldn't react to it. So even now when like I remember I had a leader, fast forward when I was working in the gaming world, and I had sent an email and I guess he had asked people not to email him. I don't want to get any emails. I don't want to get today because I have stuff going on. I didn't get the message. And so I was
You didn't
very
get the
excited.
memo.
Yeah, because no one shared it with me. So I was very excited about a candidate and we had been looking for this role for so long. And this was literally the perfect candidate, which later we ended up hiring. But anyway, I had sent it to him not knowing, and he came over and he was screaming like this close to me. Okay, like about like called me stupid and all this stuff. And I don't know, again, because no one trained me to do this, or I didn't know that this is, but I started talking quietly,
Right, right. Yeah.
really quiet, so quiet where he had to stop screaming in order to hear me. But what I had learned, again, coming from a home that was always like high octave,
Hmm.
like, I learned to like push it down, and like quickly go through my process to cleanse it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
But I
So
realized that some stayed lingering, but I didn't know it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to untangle it all. I
Yeah.
think it's like one of those braids that just like sew and you're like, okay, we
Yeah.
got this piece and now we're getting or gum in the hair. Like
Yeah.
getting the gum out. It's like a tangled mess in how we grow up and all these little things.
But I
And
feel like it's like in our cells,
yeah, I
like
mean,
because the body keeps the score. So it's like even if you release, and I've done a lot of releases, but I realize that some is still lingering.
so so I'm gonna share this because I
Okay.
think this is cool.
Okay.
Every 7 years, every cell is new. Any traumatic memory we have was corrupt as a memory, and every revisiting of it is corrupted because we go into fight or flight.
Okay.
So we don't even know what really happened to us. So today is a new day. So from this moment forward, you can create a totally different body. Like every cell is going to be different in 7 years. Every cell is going to be new. So what do you want to create? What do you want to create mentally? What are you feeding in terms of thoughts, food, movement? What are you feeding yourself? So it's like, okay, today's the first day of the rest of your pressure-free life. So by really thinking about that, and every thought we have affects the very DNA of our body.
Hmm.
So by getting cleaner, like in any of those aspects, it makes such a profound difference. So it's like body keeps score, but at the same time,
Well,
there's
we
I
hold the
only know
power. Yeah, we hold the power to
you
to
hold the
shift that.
power.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
to shift that,
to
right? But
shift it.
but but it will keep the score if you don't. And that's what
Correct.
I'm more or less getting to. It's
That's
like
correct.
yeah, and I
Yes.
think that's where a lot of people that I coach, I'm sure that you coach, like that's where they're, listening or remembering old stories that they've told themselves, holding it for truth. One thing that I focus my coaching on is alignment, mind, body, soul, and heart. This is, literally the tagline for the show, weekly fuel for your mind, body, and soul. And, self-care is different on everybody.
Mhm.
So, how do you self-care, maintain this pressure-free life?
So, um, I've been doing this now for almost 16 years.
Hmm.
If I do anything that would be in the self-care realm, it's not because I'm stressed.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
don't need to do it because I'm stressed. So if I do this Riverstone yoga with my body coach, like it's because it's fun, because I want to. If I take my forest walk, it's because I love to be in the forest. I don't have to do quote unquote self-care because every
Okay.
moment is self-care. Every morning, every moment is getting aligned
Yes.
and not triggering the stress response is the fastest way that I have learned to get alignment. So, um, so yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I've been asked that question before, and I'm
Yeah.
like, honestly, it's a it's so different. The experience is so different because now I'm just like in full enjoyment. I
Yeah.
come on my group class and our body goes, so how's your body today? And people are like, oh, I'm so sick. And I'm like, knock on wood. In almost 16 years, I've had five small colds. And the first one, they were all in the first 2 years. And I've been, except for COVID once, like so unbelievably healthy. And I was never like that. And so my immune system is now working for me. So I don't really have to specifically think, oh
Mhm.
my God, I need to take care of myself or I need the weekend or no, I don't need, it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. So
So interesting. No,
it is really interesting.
no, but it is because I've gotten to that place, where I don't have to self-care the way that I used to, like when I was
Mhm.
working in a job and, dealing with traffic and doing all, racing, like my life was like race, like this ongoing race. And, when I came out of it, I still needed to self-care a lot, and I needed to recharge and recharge my battery and do all these things. But I would say like in the last year, like I have not needed to do some of the things. And when I do it, it's more for joy,
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's
Isn't that
it
cool?
yeah. And so,
So
but I was
cool.
like, wow, that's so cool to be here, and I just see it as like a growth. I love
Yeah.
that you said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's like that's why I call it pressure free, actually.
Yeah, so good.
It's like no matter what pressures come, you stay free of the hormones. So
Yeah,
you can take on the pressures, but they're
yeah,
not going to hurt you. So, yeah,
so
so
good.
fun.
Where, if people want to work with you, are you accepting new clients and where
Yeah,
can
I
they
am.
find you? Okay.
And I have two kinds of clients. So I have private clients, and I
Okay.
also have people who are going into certification who want to learn this to bring this into their practice. And it's funny, like right now, I have more certification clients than I do the other clients because a lot of people have been finding me lately. Um, but they can find me at my website, which is ellingalls.com or pressure-free.com. And yeah, just you'll see a little button there to book a call, and I'm happy to talk to you and just learn more about you to see, if this is a good fit for you, to learn what's up. I'll always share a couple tools with you based on what you share with me too. So that's the fastest way to get a hold of me. And then I do workplace trainings. I host retreats. You'll see that I do retreats and um, yeah, and then occasionally I'll throw like I just threw an online free event. Um, and it's yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, but that's the best way. I have an online course too. You'll see all that on my website.
Yeah.
So
And I'll be sure to link all of that in the description below for anyone who's interested. But I can imagine after this, like you've opened me up even more. And I know like the audience is going to be blown away by this conversation.
oh
It's
my
just such a
gosh.
pleasure. And I just so appreciate you sharing your books with me and just
Oh, I'm
like
so
I said,
welcome.
just opening me up even more. Like as
Oh,
I continue to learn about myself,
wow.
pressure and also just stress in general. So thank you so much for coming on and blessing Sunday Soul Day.
Oh, well, it's such a pleasure to be with you, Jamie. From the moment you and I met, I was like, oh my God, are we like sisters from another planet or something?
This is from another mister. I love it.
Yeah, right. It was so funny. Well, it was great to be with you.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone, as always, have an amazing Sunday and do us a favor. Leave your favorite part about this conversation with Elle in the comments below or something new you learned because I know I learned a ton.
Bye.